Welcome to episode 3 of our Style It Out series in partnership with F&F. This week we are discussing age, confidence and personal style. On our panel we have radio presenter, broadcaster, Joe Good, and stylist, writer and TV presenter Paula Sutton to chat about embracing style as a joyful personal expression, not something that is dictated by age. From bold outfits to colourful homes, they explore how confidence grows with time, how personal taste evolves, and why individuality is the most stylish choice of all. Thank you both so much for being here. We start every podcast by talking about what we're wearing. And I walked in and I was like, are you both wearing F&F? I mean, spoiler alert, we're all wearing F&F. Paula, love, great top.
Absolutely gorgeous. I'm wearing this beautiful broderie anglaise shirt, which I find it's so my style. It's got these sort of balloon sleeves. It's quite a little baby doll sort of front bit. Really gorgeous and romantic and blousey and cottagecore, which is everything I love. And then I've paired that with some black leggings, which people would actually probably not associate with me. I love my Puss in Boots look, you see.
I was going to say.
Exactly.
It's a different take on country core.
It's a different take on country core. So I'm a little bit Robin Hood at the bottom and then Maid Marian on the top.
Oh, well, get your girl who can do both. There you go. Joe, this is so fab.
Isn't it
like,
fabulous?
So fab, yeah.
So I love a co-ord. I absolutely do, because then you have 4 outfits, really, in one outfit. And this is very, very me. I'm off to Mallorca, actually, at the weekend, and I can just roll this up in my hand luggage, unroll it, hang it up over the bath, which is what I do, and that is it. Day till night, night till day. It's a co-ord. Charlotte, you know, I revisited the 70s many times in my life. I love it. So I can have it down like this, or I like to pull it up, actually, whilst I've got a bit of a tan and show. But what I absolutely love is the detail of these scalloped edges, which repeat on the skirt. Yeah. And I'm 5 foot, everybody. So when you hunt for petite, it is sometimes really difficult to get petite. I don't mind wearing oversized, but sometimes if it is a big flowy piece, I like to wear something that is the right length, and this is the perfect length for me.
Great.
I'm wearing it with a great big clog, and again the scalloped edge repeats itself, and it's like a black broderie anglaise almost.
It looks
stunning.
So expensive.
Isn't it?
Beautiful.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks so expensive, and it's elasticated waist. So you could wear the skirt with a white tee, and you could wear the top with white shorts. So you've got 4 outfits.
I'm sold.
The best part about doing this series has been seeing what people have chosen to wear, because you miss things on site. Right, both you and I said we didn't see that.
I didn't see this
Yeah.
because that would have been on my body now.
I know, but it's like being in a toy shop, choosing something. When it's a really good website, and F&F is, you can go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. We're here obviously to talk about all things fashion, dressing. And I sort of, when I say I hate to talk about the aging thing, I feel like it's kind of boring.
Important.
Right. No,
It's
well, I
really
was going to say,
important.
it's annoying every time we speak to somebody, not we personally, but, generally every conversation around women in their 50s and their 60s and
70s.
Always have to ask about aging. It's a bit like the why do we always have to ask mothers about being mothers thing. But at the same time, as you say, it is important because there's
I love speaking about it. I really do, because I feel I didn't hear these conversations when I was in my 20s and 30s and 40s, when I really needed to hear these conversations. So I love talking about it. I love spreading the word.
Absolutely. And I think these conversations will soon be in the past. This is why I'm so excited to do this with you, because in 10 years' time, there won't be this conversation, because there'll be no generation
need
gaps.
for it.
And it's because of people like you. I'm not buttering you up, but sorry, SheerLuxe have used me for many years, and I'm an old girl.
Worked with.
A platform. No, but it's very forward thinking. I'm not buttering you up, because you back me up on this. There was a time when I would never have been employed to the extent and I'm busier now than I've ever been in my life. And I think it's blurring all the edges. So in about 10 years' time, it'll just be women talking about fashion.
Totally.
Because we all wear similar things, which I know we're going to get into. Going back to this gorgeous outfit, there was a version of this, which is just a midriff showing crop top. Thank you. And I said to the girls, even I wouldn't have done that. Imagine if I sat. But that's how clever this is, because there are differences. But I still think fashion and age will all just blur.
I agree. I totally agree. Even with my daughters, I've got daughters who are 21, they're twins, and we swap clothes.
Love that.
Well, I say we swap clothes. They steal my clothes.
I was about to say, how much
steal my
swapping
clothes.
is- yeah.
It doesn't tend to go the other way around, but they steal my clothes. And it doesn't feel like they're trying to dress up or they're trying to be something different. It just feels completely natural, which is lovely.
I love
and the older they get, it just becomes even more natural. I just don't see that there's any line between the age groups and the difference that we are.
I so agree. A couple of weeks ago when you did the Gold show, the last Gold show on YouTube, that week I listened to the Luxe Gen podcast, the SheerLuxe podcast and the Gold show. And on all three platforms was recommended Your Friends and Neighbours, the Apple TV show. And I thought that's so interesting.
Yes.
And I kind of loved that it, you know, normally I'm like, don't repeat stuff.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
loved if all three of our platforms are talking about it, that just shows you that there's no divide,
Exactly.
right? Like we're all into the same
So true.
stuff.
So true.
But as you say, important to hear that is the case.
Yeah.
For this.
And we all adore John Hamm.
Don't we just, no spoilers please, I haven't watched the last episode yet. Let's talk about dressing for joy, because I feel like for both of you that is such a kind of, you know, big part of your personal identities. What have you done recently, or kind of, you know, whether it's in your home, Paula, or fashion, what are you doing to kind of spark joy at the moment in your aesthetic life?
For me, it's flowers and dresses. Those are the two things, and cake occasionally. But those are the two things. I love dressing up, and I don't care what the occasion is. I don't believe you can be too overdressed at all, as far as I'm concerned. But I have to say that has been confidence that's come with growing older. Maybe I would have, there was a period of my life when I did dress down and I tried to fit in. Now I don't care about fitting in. It's all about if this is making me happy. I want to swirl my skirts. I want to be able to run through fields, or pretend I am if I'm walking down Oxford Street or something, that I'm running through fields and feeling lovely and bucolic and gorgeous and very cottagecore. And it makes me happy on the rainiest days, on the sort of like most somber occasions. It makes me happy to be well dressed or even overdressed at times.
How did you tap into that mode of dressing that makes you happy? You know, for some people it might be tailoring, for others it might be, you know, an amazing platform. So why that for you?
Well, for me, there's always been a thread through my entire life. I've always been very much into a vintage style, not necessarily always vintage clothing, but certainly a vintage aesthetic. So I've always been into a nipped-in waist and a sort of circle skirt, or a pencil skirt. And I've always been quite theatrical, so I've always had an image in my mind. So today normally I'd be wearing little black pumps or ballet pumps with this, and then I'd be channeling Audrey Hepburn. So in my mind, there's always some sort of Hollywood star from the 1940s or 50s or 60s. And I've had that since I was in my teens. As I've grown older, it's sort of you adapt things to suit how you feel about your body at any given time. And fit and flare dresses, for instance, are so forgiving. You know, it doesn't matter what height, what shape, what age you are, they're very forgiving and they make you feel happy. They're sort of almost like easy dresses. So if I really want to have an extra burst of happiness, that's my go-to.
Love that. Jo, what about you?
Well, I was on national television yesterday wearing a denim romper suit showing my 70-year-old legs and these massive clogs, which is quite unexpected really for anybody, let alone someone my age. But I think I am quite an extrovert anyway. I trained as an actress. I worked as an actress for many, many years. Like Paula, I wear clothes as a costume almost. And every day I love waking up thinking, what am I going to wear? We've talked about this before. I cannot understand why people just drag on something that's lying on the bedroom floor. So I just love thinking, what am I going to wear today? And I get excited about it. And I like wearing clothes that are going to draw attention. And I'm sure that's part of my exhibitionism. So the denim romper suit is high street. It's affordable. The clogs are massive. Fake tan on the legs, and I just felt maybe I didn't get away with it, but I don't actually care if I didn't. It's a statement.
But also, isn't getting away with it just about a state of mind?
Totally.
Right?
Totally is. I love seeing women of all sizes celebrating their bodies in a pair of shorts.
Absolutely.
Not getting away with it, just
But you see the confidence first, don't you? If somebody's really wearing it with confidence and you can see the joy from them, then it doesn't matter what they're wearing. You're just seeing this fabulous aura of sort of happiness and joy.
So true. Jo, when you say that you get excited about what to wear today, do you think it may be a bit like, who am I going to be today? Because I know that for me, that's a lot of the joy. It's like, which version of myself?
Completely.
Absolutely. Whether it's dog walking, you know, I wear a dog walking outfit, whether it's shopping down the high street. I live in the centre of London, so...
You never mention it.
They always take the mickey out of me.
It's taken you surprisingly long time to bring up. So
I've been here for 10 minutes. No, there is every meeting, everything in my diary I will dress for. And I mix. So, you know, you did a whole edit on F&F party wear. So all those sequins, I will wear those sequins. I will wear that gorgeous grey sequin dress. and some very, very chunky shoes, and join in the whole mood of young people celebrating party time. And in the hope, and I do believe it, that I can join in with it and I can wear whatever's out there on trend. I can wear it or not.
There's no hope, of course you
Yeah, I
can.
was going to say, of course you can. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Dip in and dip out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you both have such a personal sense of style, which there are obviously times in women's lives where that could, you can lose that a little bit. And I know that typically kind of growing older is a time where people do tend to question that. How do you maintain that kind of, or even rediscover that sense of kind of steadfast, this is who I am, this is how I like to dress? Because obviously we're talking about different identities, but it's still within a version of you, right? So how do you cling on to that, define that as you age? What's your advice?
That's really interesting because I did lose my sense of style for a period of time. I'm a Londoner. Didn't live in the centre of London though, but I'm a Londoner, born and bred. And then I moved to the countryside 15 years ago. And when I moved, it was at a stage in my life when I was feeling frazzled, burnt out. I had 3 very young children and I felt I wasn't the best mother and I wasn't the best worker and I wasn't the best wife. And so it was a period of time where I was wanting to retreat and find myself again. I dressed accordingly. I felt lost, so I started wearing clothes that to me were quite drab and quiet and I was hiding. I stopped wearing makeup, which is very rare for me as well. And it was really reflective of a time when I just didn't want to be seen and I didn't want to have to answer questions. And I knew I was coming out of that period when I started wearing red lipstick again. And it was I always say the red lipstick came first. And then suddenly I started unfurling and starting to be happy to be seen again. Your question was, how do you keep that sense of style? I think it does have a lot to do with your mood and your confidence and how you're feeling at the time. So it does have an ebb and flow. And I can't say that I've always managed to achieve it. But what I do know is that when I'm feeling confident in other areas or when I'm feeling happy with the way my life is going, then the extravagance comes out. The sort of the joy of wearing clothes gets stronger and stronger and stronger. It does make me feel happy putting on wonderful clothes. So what I would say is if I'm not feeling myself or if I'm not feeling great, I now know that dressing the part changes my brain chemistry and it starts making me feel, the confidence comes with the clothes. So all I would say is just, put on the red lipstick, put on the fancy dress that you really love, put on the shoes that give you a really lovely memory, and hopefully that will trickle upwards.
I can't imagine you ever being less than what you are. I can't imagine you like that at all.
It was a really sort of, I would say, unpleasant time because I knew it didn't feel right. I didn't ever feel that I wanted to remain in this this sort of closed sort of arena of, I was dog walking every day, which was lovely and a joy to be out in the fresh air. But then I didn't want to meet people. I didn't want to bump into anyone and have to have that chat. So it was almost like I was within a cloud. But, I got bored with myself. I got bored with sort of not interacting. I'm a sociable person. I love chatting. I love expressing myself with my clothes. And after a time, you burn out of that bad mood. You have to... You do have to get fed up with yourself to come out of things sometimes. I think.
It's so interesting that because on my social media, for most of my followers are around my age, and I get so many comments like, God, I wish I could wear what you wear. I wish I could do what you do. And I always answer saying, well, what on earth has stopped you? Who and where? So it's so interesting to hear that chapter in your life because, and we've talked about this before, women's, physically we go through chapters of hormones and everything else. And I think a lot of women go through chapters of confidence and confidence crisis and just down moments. And, it's so interesting because what does it? Is it, forgive me, is it having children? Is it the job? Is it the marriage? Is it just the life? Is it the what is it that drags you down? So suddenly you don't celebrate. And what is it that gets you out of it?
I think it's trying to be everything.
Everything at once.
Everything to everyone at once is part of the overwhelm.
I'm sure.
And the minute you get overwhelmed, I think that's what drags you down.
Do you also think there's a slight loss of sense of identity within that as well, right? You're busy being all those things, a mother, a wife, an employee, whatever, and not focusing on who
and not
you
being
are.
me, not being yourself.
Yeah.
And I going through taking it back to me is I've lived this hedonistic life because I haven't gone down the motherhood route, and my marriage was a complete disaster. Although I loved him very much, still do, but he's married 5 other women, so not
There's a pattern.
Good, yes, not good marriage material. But so I've lived my life for myself. So I've never had that dip really, because I've always put myself first.
But also, I think the sort of sense of, isn't that funny? Isn't that, we're so quick to sort of apologise for that. But
I think it
why
sounds
should
glorious.
You? I know.
Well,
I want your part.
Do you know, it's so, what influence, because you two have just come back from, and just like that, I know this sounds so sad, but Sarah Jessica Parker, Carrie Bradshaw was a role model for, even though younger than me, but that inexcusable love of everything that's materialistic, and just went, that's what I love, my shoes, my life, my flat, my wardrobe. Oh, so I love SheerLuxe. Yeah. Everyone just celebrates fashion.
Yeah,
it's so wonderful.
I was having this, it's a totally separate conversation, but a conversation about this yesterday, and about how the accusation that comes with that about kind of shallowness. And again, this kind of sense of needing to apologise for that. But, you can be, whether it's that you're, a mother, or, well, these are not alls, they're ands, but, and a very serious person, and, all of these things, but also still care about how you look and be really interested in the whimsy and the fun, because that's the joy, right?
Love the whimsy.
Yeah.
Of course, multi-layered. We're multi-layered people. We can have the seriousness that sits alongside the whimsy.
Yeah,
that's what makes us fully rounded characters. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, for sure. Can we talk about confidence with age? I've had the privilege of listening to you speak about this quite a few. No, I mean it because, truly, it's I'm often saying that I love the fact that I get to speak to women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and learn from 70s, and learn from all of them that actually the confidence only gets better. And I so clearly remember we did a podcast a while ago with Jo and Nadine Baggett. It was quite a while ago, about 18 months ago, talking about exactly that, confidence and age. And Nadine gave a piece of advice, which was that the reason that she's sort of confident now at this stage in her life is because she knows she can survive anything. She's been through the redundancies or the, relationship breakdowns or whatever, and you kind of gain confidence from those life experiences. Would you both agree with that?
It's so true. What's that? There's a Japanese art form. It's when basically everything is broken and then you put it together and it makes something more beautiful and stronger. And I think that's how we are as humans. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And it really does, because you learn from every experience, whether it's negative or positive. And there is a beauty in having failed and having had those low moments. So when you come out stronger, and you can get past them. I mean, that's brilliant advice from Nadine. I think it's and also with getting older, you stop caring. You stop caring what other people think, which is the most beautiful superpower that you can be given.
Do you wake up one day with that? Speaking of somebody who's in their 30s, do you wake up one day and suddenly think, wow, I don't care so much? Or do you think that's more of a gradual process?
Tony Blackburn, there's giving my age away. He says it's not how you deal with success, it's how you deal with failure. And having been a radio presenter, I mean, we are pawns on the chessboard, and you're just moved around. And Charlotte, you know my history with the BBC, and I don't mind this going out. I'm a pawn on their chessboard, and I go where they put me. And I used to just take it all personally. I used to think, oh my God, I was on the breakfast show. Now I'm on the afternoon show. Now I'm on late nights. Eventually I'll be on at 2 a.m. Just lorry drivers.
And we'll still be listening.
You'll still be listening. That's what. But do you know what I mean? And now I find it quite funny.
Yeah.
I find it quite funny because I have enough arrogance to think no one's got the audience I have, and my audience do follow me everywhere. And that's their loss if they put, that sounds so arrogant.
It's not.
It's not.
I never used to feel, I used to think, oh my God, what's happening? And now I just think, oh, well, there you go then. I'm just off somewhere else. And it actually made me reinvent myself. I would never have gone onto social media if I'd been working the hours on the BBC that I was doing, because I was doing a breakfast show that exhausts you. I just couldn't do it. So the art of reinvention, something else starts. But yes, the thing is to take nothing personally.
Absolutely.
And it's really difficult, even at your age, Charlotte. I'm not patronising you.
No.
You can take nothing personally, especially given the career we're all in, which is a luxury career. I mean, aren't we lucky? But I think it goes for most people. Don't take any, whatever happens to you, especially in this present climate, don't take it personally. Just think, okay, this is a hurdle I'll get over and I'll be stronger the other side. And you often are.
It's so true. I think that what you realise when you get older is that we all go through life having main character syndrome. Everyone does. You think that you are the most important thing because you are the most important thing in your life. You know, you only have control over yourself. And so when you say something that is that you think is wrong, or you make a mistake, you walk out of the room and you think, my God, everyone's still talking about it. Everyone's still thinking about it. You know, it's all about me, me, me. No one cares. The minute you walk out of that room, you walk off stage, it's all about the other characters. They're all thinking about themselves. And as you get older, you realise that it doesn't matter. Most of what you worry about in life does not matter. And that's what you have to remember. And that's what you slowly begin to realise.
And how liberating.
Yeah.
It's so liberating.
It's so liberating.
Yeah. So I suppose what you're both describing is composure, right? It's trying to stay cool. It's styling it out.
Holding
and
it together.
Holding it together and kind of not losing your shit when things hit the pan. Is that a piece of advice? I mean, presumably that is a piece of advice that you would give.
Absolutely. Is don't fight it, you know, just be calm. Because as we said, what's the worst that can happen? And that will happen. Life is that, isn't it? Life is a series of things that are going to come hurtling at you. So just be confident, be composed. And that's also a very attractive quality. Composure is incredibly attractive.
And that, I think it's that combination, isn't it? Because confidence, we can learn to be more confident, but composure is all about keeping it together and making sure that once you have the confidence, you don't panic in situations. And so that duality is what we need to achieve, isn't it?
Absolutely, the balance between the two.
I think it's about internal composure as well, isn't it? Because we're not talking about the kind of styling out where, you know, you're just making it all look perfect and fabulous, but, you know, underneath you, it's all going horribly wrong. You know, it's about kind of having that confidence to know that things will be okay.
It will be okay.
And they will. And that's what you learn through age.
Yeah.
Things will be okay.
Yeah.
You know, the storm will calm down. So become composed.
Love it. Paula, you've already mentioned the red lipstick. What do you do? What do you both do? What are your little hacks for when you do need a bit of a confidence boost for making yourself feel a bit better?
That's really interesting because it's now become such second nature. So it used to be start with the red lipstick. That now is natural to me. Every morning I will have my red lipstick. I did a shoot yesterday and they said, so if you can, we're not sure whether the red lipstick's going to go, so can you come with a sort of bare face or a neutral lipstick? And it was sort of like, that just doesn't happen in my world.
No.
You know, it's like if you want me, the red lipstick comes with me.
Part and parcel.
And it's knowing yourself and knowing the things that sort of trigger that happiness. So certainly for me, it would be the red lipstick, and also it has to start with what I'm wearing. You know, I have to feel happy in what I'm wearing. So if I'm wearing a lovely dress or a beautiful broderie anglaise top, it suddenly it gives me that composure and it gives me that confidence. So it's definitely clothes, and I wouldn't even go as far as saying makeup. It's the red lipstick.
Yeah, that's
red,
your thing.
Red lipstick and a lovely outfit.
I get that. Jo?
I agree. I mean, I've learnt the red lipstick really from Paula. Yeah, makeup less and less, actually, less and less as you get older. And has anyone noticed that I'm only wearing one earring?
Ooh, love it.
No, not to be cool.
Yeah.
It's just I left the other one at home.
Yeah.
But I love something that's going to light my face. You know, light is everything. If I could travel with this lighting system,
I know, wouldn't we all?
everywhere. But as you say, I mean, this outfit is me. This is me. It makes me flow, so I feel flowing when I wear it. So it's done the job, basically. A good haircut, good skin, as good as you can get, a red lip if permitted, and then earrings that light your face. So I should be just facing this because that's the only earring I have. This one isn't. But those are the essentials, I think.
Let's talk about trends and fashion and, you know, following the trends. F&F obviously keep up with the trends so well. Again, there's a kind of misconception or idea that one should sort of park certain trends as they get older. What's your view on embracing the trends?
I used to work for a fashion magazine. So my life for many years was all about trends. And I fully believe in trends, but I believe in adapting them to what suits you. So for instance, the sort of lovely sort of tops that are very 70s inspired and the broderie anglaise, we're both wearing very similar at the moment. And that is a trend, but it suits my style. It suits Joe's style.
And look how differently you're wearing
And look how differently we're wearing them. So I think embrace trends that suit you and that fit in with the wardrobe that you have, and then you can't lose.
I agree, and I think it's really clever on the F&F website who they choose and what to wear, and who's wearing them in campaigns. Abby Clancy, have you seen? Is wearing this amazing knitted dress. That I love knitted dresses. What a great choice to put her in it, because I wear it, at my age. And a knitted dress, I think it's always on trend. It's finding trends that are always on trend, and then you bring them into your own style, and you add whatever you want. I mean, most people, look what I'm wearing. This I would have worn, as I said, in the 70s. I wouldn't have worn it with a great big chunky clog. I probably would have worn it with sandals. Yes, absolutely.
Just grasp the feet.
Yes, exactly. Just so you take the trends and you make them your own, and that makes you so contemporary.
Yeah.
I always think it's good to follow a trend because it shows you're aware of fashion. Again, I hate playing the age card, but you have to be really careful of sticking to something you've worn throughout your life, and saying, "Oh, I've always liked this because I like a Peter Pan collar or whatever." If you want to be current, fashionable, classy, follow trends.
I always think that you're particularly good at doing that in terms of shapes, and that it's what's probably easy to kind of gravitate into is shapes that don't feel quite as modern or as fresh. And I feel like you are really good at saying, okay, well, I might be kind of adapting in these areas, but actually I'm going to keep the shapes super modern or the cuts super modern, and that way it feels more
absolutely
relevant.
And I've learnt from you, Charlotte. Whenever I'm out filming, I always go, "This is a Charlotte Collins pair of trousers."
What does that mean? Really oversized?
Really oversized.
Yeah.
And there you go. That's a trend. I used to wear everything very tailored. It is so much better to wear oversized, and that's a trend. And go to F&F, you'll see loads of oversized blazers, trousers, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So you're taking a trend and making it your own.
Yeah, for sure.
But you see, I'm exactly the opposite.
You
of
are,
that. I
yes.
will never wear oversized. Really,
You're very tall.
I will.
Yes,
Yes,
damn it.
You're able to not.
Yes,
Yeah.
I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? But I will wear classic shapes, so I will look for the trends that fit into a classic shape. Because I have to say, I am guilty of sticking to the same thing for many, many, many decades.
But also it's about it, as we've said, it's about your own personal style and what you're trying to project into the world with your looks, right? Like, you are trying to say something about who you are and your wardrobe that will be different to what you're trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But luckily also trends, they come back.
Yeah.
Things will always come back into style.
Yeah.
And it's, as I say, you look for the things that fit into your style. So trends are wonderful, but it's also really even more wonderful to let them fit into the style that you have.
Okay, what about trends that you look back on, trends you've tried in the past that you're really nostalgic for, things that you wish would come back?
I loved, forgive me, talking about me being in shorts yesterday, I loved hot pants. I loved hot pants because I
did not think this was going to come out of your mouth, Joe.
Really, I see this for you. It
see,
doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
I loved the hot pants and, like the Daisy Dukes, I love the denim shorts, really tight shorts.
You look great indeed.
Well, I reckon you could still pull
One
it off.
day you'll see. But what I loved was my mum, so we would wear them with braces and bibs, and she would embroider them. So she embroidered the bib, and those were attached to my denim hot pants.
Yeah.
That I would wear day in and day out, and I'd wear them with this is real 1960s into 70s with a wet look patent boot to the knee.
Amazing.
And I absolutely loved that trend. Whether I'm going to revisit it, watch this.
Let's see.
We would love to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
We would love to see it.
Paula?
I think for me, I'm going back to the 90s, and it's the slip dresses that we all used to wear, these wonderful slip dresses that made us feel like fairies. And
Cut on the bias.
And absolutely cut on the bias. Almost sort of like 1920s inspired in many ways, or 1930s inspired, actually. But which I think they've come back over time. Every so often they make an appearance. That's a trend that I love from the past that I think is very suited to now.
Very
as well.
Hollywood, isn't it? Just with a big coat over the top.
Gorgeous.
Chic.
Gorgeous.
Carrie
So
Bradshaw as
sexy.
well.
Very Carrie Bradshaw.
Love it.
Absolutely.
I've got to ask you both about interiors and home, and to what extent, we're talking so much about fashion and how that sparks joy and kind of as part of your identities. To what extent do your homes also kind of play into that and count as, your space being a kind of place of joy?
Oh my goodness, it's another bit of self-expression for me. Colour has to come into it. I always think whenever I see a beautiful neutral interior, I always am very inspired, and I think how lovely, that's so chic and so elegant, and I'm going to maybe recreate that, and I'll go home and then I'll have the pink and the red and the green, and I realise that's not the person I am. So colour plays a huge part of what brings joy in my interiors. Once again, I love classic shapes. I like that sort of almost vintage inspired country house style. And which is actually very trendy at the moment. It's very trend driven at the moment. So I love that, and it's very easy to achieve at the moment because every on the high street, in F&F, it's always you can get something that sort of fits into that very country house chic aesthetic.
We have knocking about, I don't know if it's in this room, but there's a really good rattan tray from F&F, which is so chic. And also, my bum doesn't fit on that list. But also, we should talk about the cushion. Each time we do one of these podcasts, I whip out a new cushion. But isn't that colour gorgeous?
I mean, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Mossy green. That's perfect,
I know.
Actually. In fact, I might have to take
quite
one
nice
of
in
those
yours.
home.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Love that. Jo, to what extent do your surroundings?
Can I just say, not because they're here, F&F mushroom coloured towels. I call them mushroom coloured towels. I love that because in life, a white towel, great, but not practical. So I love their towels, a muted mushroom. But unlike Paula, I live in the centre of London in a tiny flat. So everything I have has to be beautiful. There's no space for something that I'm just putting up with. It has to be beautiful. And there's an example. I went to an event with Paula last week with Sky McAlpine. She had, this is crazy, she had an asparagus dish. This is so she has an asparagus dish that is just asparagus. And I thought, I love novelty china. I really love novelty china. And it made me think, right, I'm going to start a little china collection in my kitchen, which I've never done. My kitchen is never used. I never turn my oven on. But I'm going to do.
So Carrie Bradshaw.
You really are. I
am going to make more of it, and start to appreciate novelty kitchenware. So I do have quite a lot of muted. It's a background I live with all the time in a very confined space.
Makes sense. F&F have some gorgeous plates, just to send you in their direction. Lots of pretty painted plates.
They have pretty painted plates, but they also have nice plain plates with a lovely border around as well, which is perfect for eating off, because I don't want to be too distracted by the pattern when I'm eating, and I love their... Do you know what I mean?
I like the distractions. I like the prettiness and the scalloped edges and the floral ditzy prints and everything, and the stripes and the... I like the abundance of pattern and colour, I have to say.
I do too. Every time, again, we've done these podcasts, I come down and it's a different assortment of gorgeous F&F things on the table. So I do rather like these mugs, aren't they cool? But actually last week we had some mugs that was with little saucers that were all different types of kind of pastel colours. They were gorgeous.
Perfect.
These are lovely too, but these will go nice in your neutral.
This would be perfect. And do you know what I love about these is you want to do this immediately. Yes. It's to do with this ridge.
There's something quite satisfying about that.
Very satisfying.
I'm always
hot drink.
We've got a lot of good mugs floating around upstairs, and I'm looking at hot. I'm going to take this one back up. When it comes to entertaining, we did a whole podcast last week. Our episode 2 was all about entertaining, but I've got to pick your brains on interior. I mean, Paula, probably coming to you on this one.
Oh, the tablescape.
Tell me about the joy of
the tablescape. Yeah. I love things. I love layers on my tables. I love making sure that people come in and see a dinner table or a table outside and they gasp because it looks so beautiful and sort of layered and abundant, and then they can go home.
That's it.
You've got it now. You've seen it now. Because for me, it's all about excitement and the joy and the breathtaking sort of first instant that you see this wonderful table and that. So I love vases on my table, not just one big centre flower arrangement, because often you can't see over it and you can't see the people who you're meant to be having dinner with. But I love maybe little bud vases, or even mugs can be used to sort of, you can fill with flowers. I like using unusual things. I love this little display here, actually, on this coffee table. You've got that sort of like lovely, it's almost like a charger plate base. And then you can have things on top. I just love having lots of visual interest on a table, which I think is lovely. Any
particular schemes that you're excited about for this summer?
Looking at that cushion, actually, that muted green is green and pink during the summer. And if you can throw a little bit of yellow in as well, is a wonderful, wonderful combination, and is always very sort of joyful and fresh and bright. But I like mixy-matchy. I like different colours, throwing lots of different colours together, because... as I say, I'm not a very neutral person necessarily, But I like it looking abundant and, lots of beautiful things on a table.
May I ask about the runners? Because these are whether they're creased, gathered, or ironed, running across the table.
I like them running quite formally across the table. I don't do the whole sort of like creasing them and concertinaing them together, because I think everything's going to trip over. And as soon as you lean over something, it's going to like your candlestick is going to trip over the big sort of like fold. So I don't do that sort of thing. I would rather have I love tablecloths, I love runners, I love placemats. Layer it up, but make it flat so that nothing falls over.
Yeah.
I don't make life hard. I just make life beautiful.
I love
that
because,
motto.
I mean, there was never a word tablescape, was there, before?
No.
It was like, like my
Lay a
grandparents, can you
table.
lay the table? And it would just be done in this form. The fact it's now a work of art is beautiful,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Endless inspiration out there as well. There's so much gorgeousness. We talked about finding your own personal style when it comes to fashion, but what about in the home and interiors? Is that something that has evolved over time? Kind of how personal is the way your homes look to you both? Jo?
It's very personal, as I say, because everything I live with is curated. There is nothing there that I want to hide away. And there are pieces that are so from my family. Like you go back to the tablescape. So the damask, the big damask tablecloth, has got, forgive me, stains, but they're forgiving stains. The stains from family dinners that no one's ever been able to get out.
They tell a story.
Yeah, they tell a story in the bottom left-hand corner, or a bit of where the moth has eaten in the bottom right-hand corner. That's gone through the years and years of it being brought out at a family dinner. And I've got those now. I've also got the plates that were part of my mother's wedding set. Can you believe? And people give a complete wedding set now. I don't know if they do.
We didn't
Complete,
ask for
literally
that, no.
side plates. I mean, anyway, so there are a few remaining plates left that were at my parents' wedding gift, and I prize them. And then I'll add, and I'm very like you. I don't like anything matching too much. I like to just add, and each piece has its own history.
Love that. Paula?
I think that's so lovely, Jo. And that's the thing. I think there's such emotion attached to whether it's our clothes or whether the things that we have in our homes. There is a lot of emotion attached to it, and I think that I love having an eclectic mix of things. So I've got things that are new, I've got things that are vintage, I've got antiques, things that are handed down, and it's just that multi-layered amount of things that tell a story. They've all got a story, and the story can be that I went into and found something at F&F and it was brand new. But that day I was looking for something pink to go with that particular table, and that's a story in itself. So it's lovely that it sort of expresses how you feel about an event or that day or that moment. But things need to tell a story. And I think that's such a lovely emotional thing.
I love that. When it comes to personal style, both homes, wardrobes, what advice would you give to your younger selves about finding that, tapping into it?
Trust yourself. I think trusting your own style. The most beautiful interiors or personal style are when somebody has been drawn to something themselves and they really feel with their heart that that's what they love. Don't over question things. Don't think, oh, that's what that person's wearing, maybe I have to wear that. If you love a trend, you go for it if it sparks joy in you. So I think it's about trusting your own instincts.
I agree. And also, to go back to how we started, is there are no rules anymore. It's like, I was at school, we were all at school with the girls who customised their uniforms, the cool girls that made their gym slips and everything else look better. And you hope to God that fire was never put out, that they went through life being the fashionable ones, because you never need to put that fire out. Where, as Paula says, go with your instinct. Don't care about what anyone else says, because, again, what you said, no one really cares. They've got their own scenarios. Wear what makes you happy and celebrate the fact there is, to go back to F&F, there is now affordable fashion that everyone can have a share of it. It's not just for the rich and the privileged. Everyone can look good now. And that was never the case when I was younger. There was very few places to shop. There was no online shopping. You were so limited. But now it's very democratic. Everyone can look great.
And that's actually the beauty of trends, because everywhere picks up on certain colours and certain shapes. And so you can get your beautiful trends at an affordable price. And, it's wonderful that F&F are putting fashion, and they've got the homewares as well. It's a lovely one-stop place, which is, what we all need.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, ladies, what a stunning wrap up to this podcast. Thank you so much. That says it all.
We love
in a few
talking about
sentences.
ourselves, so don't we, Paula?
I'm the main star of my stage.
Yeah, we're all just main characters. That's what we've done today. Thank you both so much for joining. You both look fab and so much good advice. So thank you for being here. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. Do visit F&F in-store or online for the latest trends in fashion and interiors. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.